Hey guys, and welcome to We've Got You From Here. Today, we're really excited to share with you guys our full-on experience with having Katia. It was quite the journey that Melissa and
Mm,
I went through, and we think we might have some fun little tips throughout the way. Some funny times, some funny moments. Kind of not how she was conceived, but the lead up to and all those
yeah,
kind of things. Yeah, some really funny stories, and to us, this is a really special kind of topic. Hey, babe.
yeah,
Obviously, being new parents has been an amazing experience so far. Some tests, but mostly love and appreciation, and it's helped us grow in our
yeah.
relationship. So yeah, let's rip right in. So I think maybe the good place
I'll
to
start.
start is probably you go
Um,
ahead.
all right, so we'll talk about, I guess, having Katya. Well, deciding to have Katya wasn't really a decision. um, but I have always wanted to have babies. And when I started dating Eli, I'm pretty sure I said to him, if I get pregnant, just so you know, I'm keeping it and you don't have to have anything to do with it.
Wow.
And he was like, well, all right. And that's kind of how I brought that topic up. But then
I
when we
think
were dating for what by then we were together for like 2 years.
yeah,
I was like, I'm getting off the pill, I'm getting off everything. It's fucking with my shit. I'm so over it.
hormonal.
Hormonal. I was getting my migraines constantly, and it was all because of that. So I was like, look, I'm getting off the pill, and from this moment onwards, it is your responsibility.
To pull out.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was like, well, it's on you now because I really don't care. And from this moment on, I don't mind if I get pregnant.
Yeah. I think that's pretty fair as well. I
Mm,
think society is so used to I guess women, well, especially these days, women doing the whole you know, what's the word, babe?
contraceptive.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Doing the whole contraceptive thing, and I think for men we've really become quite complacent with it, kind of expecting all women to be on the pill or on some sort of birth control.
Yeah.
um, I know when I was single it was something that I was actually quite ignorant to, and I definitely didn't like the feeling of condoms, but there's no other children out there, by the way. And I
Bloody
just
hope
think it's
not.
yeah, I just think it's something important for guys to remember is like what women really have to go through in terms of trying to stay child free when they're not in a committed relationship or anything like that. So
Or even in a committed relationship. Like,
even in a committed
if you're just not
relationship,
ready to have children
yeah.
yet, we're the ones that are kind of stuck with, taking hormonal things. And
Mm,
yes, there is things like the marina that can be non-hormonal, like the copper one, but still intrusive. You have to
oh
go
yeah,
in and get this thing put in there, and then you have to go get it out. It's a whole rigmarole.
yeah.
So that's just a whole nother topic. I always say that, whole nother topic. But yeah,
Making
so
future content.
yeah, from that point, I was like, yeah, no, I'm getting off it. And honestly, I felt so good off the pill. I
Yeah,
felt so good off everything. And just, I was using apps like Flow to track everything. So we were kind of aware. We were still being careful,
yeah,
um, making sure, like, we know what date I'm ovulating and things like that. Um, but, I'd always just let him know around the time. And then that's his problem from then on.
yeah. And I think with that, it kind of came at a good time. Funny.
Mm. Oh,
No, but
honestly.
seriously, I think, I was kind of starting to think about, the future of our family and
Mm.
things. And I, the story goes that it was probably 6 months before I started to make the decision, but we were getting close to Christmas time. And I wanted to give Melitza a Christmas present, a little cute little box with some like baby shoes in it, maybe some diapers, just something hinting towards like I'm
Yeah.
ready to have a baby, like a box of condoms with pins through it or something like that,
Something funny and crass
make it
as
funny.
fuck.
But my actions came before my willpower. It happened. It was fitness cartel Christmas party, and
The day
yeah,
after, I think I was like, I'm due and it's not here. And I knew because I was so on time always. So I was like, oh.
yeah,
So I did a test. and it came back positive. Woo!
Yeah.
And I was like super happy, but I was like, oh my God, I can't just do one. I'm going to have to do a couple. So I quickly got dressed, went down to the shops and bought another two. I got back and I realized I put my pants on inside out. I had the tag like
I didn't
hanging
know this.
out. Yeah, the tag was like hanging out of my pants, and because I was in such a rush to go get more to make sure that it was right.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
and then I sent Eli a text message with the photo of it.
Yeah, no, but you called me.
I sent you a text, and then I called him and I was like, "Are you sitting down?"
Hmm.
I was like, "Check your text messages."
Yeah, and boom, there it was. We were pregnant, or she was pregnant.
We were pregnant.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the we were pregnant thing? Let
Like
us
shit.
know.
We're not pregnant. I'm pregnant, and
Yeah.
you're there.
I actually agree with that, but if you guys feel differently, those of you who are in relationships, or if you're not, let us know. Yeah, physically, I wasn't pregnant, obviously.
Worst thing a male can say. We're pregnant.
So I got really excited, and obviously I called my mum straight away, and let her know. And then from there, we kind of did the whole. We were thinking like, oh, do we tell people? Do we not? And we were actually of the thought that we
Yeah.
didn't really care about waiting to tell. We have this, and we quite kind of understand energetics and putting things into play and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And there's usually this grace period that people try and wait like 12 weeks.
Such a I would say taboo around it.
Yeah,
Is it taboo? It's like I don't know what the word is, but
it's a weird white.
people are always like, no, you got to wait till 12 weeks in case something happens. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, so should I sit here and lie? Because obviously something's up when I'm not drinking or I'm not feeling great. Because I was feeling really sick from like 6 weeks. And the doctor was like, yeah, good luck with that.
I think there's a few things around it. It's like, number one, you're lying to everyone for 12 months. Well, not
12
lying,
weeks.
12 weeks.
12 months.
You're lying to everyone for 12 weeks. We're not really lying, but like you're hiding stuff.
Yeah.
People know who you are. It's
It's
like, just be honest. Be honest with yourself. Don't be scared. Don't permit fear into your life by denying these things because you're scared that something might happen in those 12 weeks. And three, you're denying yourself of celebrating life. And I think there's so much more positivity and emphasis on celebrating the life as soon as you know. And you kind of almost hold back that energy if you're not celebrating that with others and within us, at least for us, And
Yeah.
again, this might be a controversial topic for some people. There'll be a lot of you out there who agree with us. There'll be probably many more who don't agree with us.
Yeah.
But that was how we went about it.
Yeah, I
And
think
in full faith that she was going to be born perfect, and she was.
yeah, well, we'll get a little deep. I didn't prepare to do this, but what I think and what I guess from experience would be is you get pregnant, something happens before the 12 weeks.
Hmm.
You're then dealing with that by yourself.
Yeah,
You're
true.
then
You haven't told anyone yet.
You have no one else to lean on but your partner, which is great. You have a partner. If you do, or if your partner's supportive, that's still great too. But you still have nobody else to talk to. And you end up dealing with so much stress and being upset with yourself. And you internalize a lot because, this happened to me and I told no one. And at 8-9 weeks, I had a miscarriage, and it's so much more common than you think. But when it happens and you have nobody to talk to because nobody knew that you were even pregnant, it just is such a blimp.
Yeah, and there might even be like it might be that you tell certain people that are close to you and things like that, which is important. But sometimes
Yeah.
there's one or the other. I mean, it's actually quite a wide scope, but those are really good points, babe. And I think
Yeah.
for me, it's just I just wanted to celebrate, man. I just
Yeah.
wanted to, and I'm not one to really keep my mouth shut about too much, to be honest.
He really struggled.
I'm a pretty open book.
Yeah.
Take me as I am type thing. So.
I felt it was really important to share the news with anyone. Look, it wasn't like I was posting going, yeah, I'm pregnant, and like
yeah.
putting it out to the world, like, boom, damn, it's out there. It was more like if I was in a conversation with someone and it somehow came up, I was like, yeah, it's early, but I am pregnant. Woo, It was like that. I was telling my direct family straight away. He was telling his direct family. We were telling all our close friends straight away. And that was so important to me. I wanted to have the support because, knock wood, God forbid something was to happen.
Mm,
I had the support.
mm,
And I think that is so much more important than hiding something and then dealing with it yourself.
yeah.
Look, obviously, Katya's here. Woo! Um, but yeah, just to anyone out there that is too scared to tell people just because it's such a normal thing to wait till 12 weeks, but you feel like you want to share and so that you have support, go and do it.
Mm.
Fuck what everybody else is doing because it doesn't matter.
Do
It's
what's
what
right for you.
Yeah, it's what you want to do, what your partner wants to do, and all that kind of stuff.
And again, on the flip side of that, if you're not comfortable,
Yeah,
that's
then
okay
cool.
as well. But I
Yeah.
think you should find one or two close people that you can have that support, because the fact of the matter is, yes, those 12 weeks are risky.
Yeah.
Um,
And scary.
yeah. But so exciting at the same
Yeah.
time. And there's like this apprehension and all this kind of stuff going on for you. But yeah, I mean, we told everyone close to us, but like Melissa said, if someone asked, we were upfront and open about it.
I didn't want to
And
lie.
we didn't ask anyone to keep secrets either.
No, I wasn't like, oh, don't go telling anyone. I was just like, oh, yeah, we're just not openly posting about it.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I just didn't feel like we needed to, but I was happy to talk about it with everyone, which is cool.
Yeah.
I remember telling my mom, and she cried, and she's like, I thought I'd be dead by the time you got pregnant.
Excuse me, you didn't tell your mum.
No, okay, sorry. I didn't tell my mom. What did we do, babe?
Well, obviously, I don't know if you all know this, but Melitza's Serbian
We speak Serbian.
and fluent in their
Yes.
households. So I'm like sitting there at every dinner table, like, yeah, cool. No. It's a beautiful language. It's really cool to watch their family speak it, and they actually speak Serblish. So I kind of like, I hear everything in between. I kind of try and make sense of things, and I think they speak the Serblish to kind of honor that I'm there. But anyway, I learned how to say it, and I'm not going to be able to remember that right now on camera. But yeah, we were on the way to Melitza's parents' house, and I was practicing the whole way, and I keep getting it wrong. How's it go, babe? What is it?
Milica je trudna.
It was longer than that, for sure.
No, that was it.
Milica je trudna. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. You can see.
It was 3 words, guys.
And I think the reason why I wanted to do that and why Melitza thought it would be a great idea is because I think her parents and her family kind of know how much I struggled to speak Serbian. And it being such a beautiful thing to have the youngest child finally becoming pregnant, I think it was just right to honor their culture and their language. So yeah, we came to the dinner table, and I said to her mum,
We were outside having
Milica,
coffee.
Milica je trudna.
Yeah, trudna.
Je trudna.
Oh, guys. Look, we had an hour and a half drive to perfect this. We got there, and he did a really good job. My sister was there, Anna.
Yeah.
She was there as well, and so was my sister-in-law, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But
so
not
it
your
was
brother, not your
not
other
my brother
sister.
or my dad. My dad was overseas, and I think my other sister.
In Serbia.
In Serbia, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, it was really nice, and my mum was super happy, and obviously Eli's mum was super stoked,
Yeah.
and it was all great. It was all received so well.
Yeah.
I don't think it could have been any better received.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I was pregnant. That's kind of how we got there. And then Christmas rolled around, and by then I was pretty early still, but I was already feeling so sick. I think I'd got to the 8 weeks by then.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so unwell, and I mean like vomiting 3, 4, 5, 6 times a
The
day
worst. Yeah.
already, and it was just awful. And Eli had just come back from getting food for Christmas Day, and I sent him to get chicken, like the chicken drumsticks and
I
stuff
did
for like the
not think
barbecue.
this was going to get brought up.
He came back with fucking quails, like little baby bird quails,
Went
and
to Costco. Let me tell the story. Went to Costco, and they honestly looked like little drumsticks, and they were in a massive pack, and they were a good price. And Costco, they did do the big Christmas stuff. And yeah, but then tried to look up on YouTube like best way to do quail, blah blah blah. It was horrible. Quail can be done nicely.
He did
Completely off
not.
topic here, by the way. Don't know why you brought up
No,
the quail
because
thing.
if you let me finish the story, you
Oh, I
decided
see
to
what you're doing.
hijack it. Eli does this all the time. Um, I literally he literally cut open the packet of chicken quail, and I had a plate of food in my hand, like the little kid's plate of food. I had to throw it, and I mean like throw it, and then
Frisbee.
I ran to the toilet and puked my guts out. That's how sick I was. Like just the whiff of
Mm,
it from the kitchen, and I was like, huh, I was a good 5, 6 meters
mm,
away. Like
mm.
I wasn't that close, and I could whiff it, and I was like, what? And I
Yeah.
had to vomit, and that's how sick I was, which was really shit.
Yeah.
And that was just the beginning of being sick.
There's a few big points throughout this pregnancy that we can kind of bring up, and there might be some that we'll delve into, get deleted or
Yeah.
not. Um, but there was a few things. So number one, this is just after COVID. Melissa's already dealt with, she's in and out of work because we were high time, no vax.
Yeah.
100% we're not about getting the vax. She was not going to get the vax. I was not going to get the vax. And we're so thankful for it now, given the,
Yeah.
what's going on, but we won't go down that rabbit hole.
You
Um,
brought the rabbit hole up.
and so there was that going on. So money wise and things and struggles with work were kind of coming through. She was extremely nauseous. Um, yeah, babe, list them. Keep going on.
Well, the beginning it was just being sick,
Mm,
like just vomiting all the time, and I was so hungry still though. So I got to like, I think it got to like 12 weeks. So what, 3 months in, and I was still working at home. Thankfully, by then it wasn't as much of a push. But also by then we had to find places that would let Eli in for the scan because
yep.
he wasn't allowed anywhere because he was unvaxxed,
Hmm.
and so was I. So there was only one unvaxxed person allowed in each room. We thankfully found a place here on the Sunshine Coast that would do our scans for us and
Yeah.
allow him to be there. Like,
Mm,
who's gonna say no to the like scans about dad being there for their first child? Like, it was horrible.
yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah, it
we
was actually really
decided,
upsetting.
yeah, it
Really
was
upsetting.
horrible. And then we decided actually at that point that we were going to have a private midwife
Hmm.
and do a home birth.
Mm,
Because at that point as well, he wouldn't be allowed in the labor room
yeah.
because I would either have to have a midwife or him.
Mm,
And it was like, what? And then I had heard a lot of stories where people didn't have their partners at all in the labor room, even for C-sections and things like that, if they were not vaccinated. So it was just so horrid.
yeah.
So I was like, nah, we're getting a private midwife. We're having a home birth. I'm like, I'm going to Lulu on this shit. We are having a home birth. And everyone was like, huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it's happening. I don't give a shit.
And along that journey, we became really well educated on everything. And we
Yeah.
kind of, it spiked a bit of holisticness in us and
Mm.
understanding of really what the human body is capable of. We met some beautiful people, some beautiful midwives. Our doula was amazing too. Like, yeah, we just learned a lot about it. And I think we talked about what we wanted that to look like, and we kind of looked into, home birthing pools and, what it really can look like. We even watched some, you remember watching the YouTube videos? The home
Oh,
birth.
oh my God.
Ugh!
Even me, I was like, ugh, this is gross.
Yeah.
And honestly, people are like, that is so beautiful. I'm going to tell you right now, unpopular opinion, there will be a lot of these, is yuck. I don't like, look, the baby is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Through this whole podcast, do not get me wrong. The baby is amazing. It is beautiful that we can bring life into this world. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That is incredible. But honestly, I was like, ugh, yuck. Like, it's just there's so many bodily fluids. It's just a lot. And I'm like a really icky person. So
Yeah.
to me, it was like, oh, it's a lot going on. How are we going to deal with this at home?
Mm.
But our midwife at that time ensured, like, obviously there's all these things that you put into place and blah, blah, blah. And, I was totally prepared for all of that. And that's fine. But I still was like, icky.
Yeah, and so throughout the ride, lots of different things came up, and yeah, we were really getting prepared for this home birth. We had bought the pool, we had done everything that we needed to do to, you know, get in place with this home birth. Mentally prepared. She had done like a bit of energy healing type stuff. There was a few things, babe. Like
Hypnobirthing
what,
stuff.
yeah.
I read a few books.
Mm,
I think before we like skip during the first initial like 6 months of my pregnancy,
mm,
up to about 26 weeks, I was training still.
mm-hmm,
I had a great PT. It was Jess from Fitness Cartel, Jess Patton.
mm-hmm. Shout out, just
Shout out to Jess. She was absolutely incredible because we had a photo shoot. It was like a 12-week training
Yeah,
with a photo shoot at the end. And I was like, cool, I'm going to use that as my maternity shoot.
yeah.
Bam. And I also, again, thought I was going to be an absolutely stunning pregnant woman.
I think you
No.
were. Those photos turned out
Oh, yeah, those
beautiful.
photos. I was only 26 weeks pregnant by then. That was all good.
And Jess was an amazing coach
Yeah, she was
throughout
great
that.
while I was
She is an
pregnant.
amazing coach in general
Yeah.
and an amazing human. But yeah, I remember actually you feeling very supported throughout
Yeah,
that
it was
and
really
understanding kind
nice.
of pelvic movements and
Yeah,
pelvic
she
stands and
knew a lot
things.
about it.
Yeah.
Look, she's had children.
Yeah.
She has trained pregnant people. You know, she knows a lot about that. So
Mm.
that's why obviously I went with her knowing that she's vastly knowledgeable.
Funny enough, she
And
was actually one of Frank's
clients.
clients, and Frank had actually put her on stage. So Frank being our last guest
Yeah.
speaker just last
So
week. So
it was nice,
funny
you
how
know,
they tied
it's
together.
all ties
Yeah.
together. But yeah, so she trained me up until about 26 weeks when I had that photo shoot. And I was feeling sick, obviously. And then when it got to that point, I was counting my calories the whole time as well, which was also controversial to everyone. But I think I touched on last time as well that I'm a person that doesn't eat enough. So when you're pregnant, you need to be eating enough for yourself and a little bit extra for the baby. Not a lot extra, a little bit extra, let me tell you. And so I really needed someone to help me manage those calories and how to make sure I'm intaking enough food, which just helped me with. And so yeah, I counted my calories for the first 26 weeks of my pregnancy.
And obviously, you spoke to your our
Yeah, my midwife was
about it.
totally on
She
board
yeah.
because she was happy that I was consuming enough food. Because even though I was vomiting it up, I was so hungry that I would keep eating, and I got to a point where I would find things that tasted good coming up.
That's right. Oh, I remember you saying this, and I was just like, what even, like,
Because I
what kind
was,
of, it must have to be bad for you to have to think
yeah,
about what
I was
tastes
like,
good when it's being,
yeah, I was like,
mm.
so what can I eat that will taste yummy coming up? And not much, but I like just kept eating or
No, what was the
whatever.
main thing? When you doing like cranberry, nah,
No, no,
wasn't
no.
cranberry,
I was eating a lot of
cranberry juice.
potatoes.
You always eat a lot of
Loaded
potatoes.
fries, guys. I was eating loaded potatoes every single
I reckon someone's
day.
gonna feel sick thinking and hearing this.
Yeah, sorry. Not
Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, so I ate loaded potatoes every day. That was part of my meal plan that I made for me to my macros. And then yeah, so I continued training and stuff, counting my calories, I'm feeling great apart from the fact that I was vomiting every day. Like we got past that. By the time you get to 26 weeks, you're like, meh, it's like every day,
Mm,
whatever. But then I started to have a lot of pain walking.
mm,
So because Katia engaged at 26 weeks, she decided to stick her head right down in there. And she was engaged. 26 weeks are very early to be down there and engaged. And
mm.
I don't think it gave my body enough time to adjust. And I started to get severe groin pain when I would walk. So like even getting up off the couch or anything, it was called SPD now. It used to be girdle pain. And there's actually not much you can do. There's only like little belts you can wear and things like that. So
Little.
like they're not little. They're like
They are
these
not
massive
little.
ass things that you stick around you, and it's meant to hold your belly up. The thing
They look
was,
like what? They look like one of those sumo belts.
yeah, my belly wasn't even big, guys.
Mm.
I had a tiny stomach, and it was like a square.
Yeah.
Oh, so fucked. Honestly, guys, I just wanted a big, round, beautiful belly,
Pretty basketball.
and I just
She had
got like a
box
square,
under.
and it was tiny, and so it wasn't even like I could lift it up to create less pain on my pelvic muscles and my pelvis. So I don't know if anyone knows what SPD is. So it's like syphilis pubic dysfunction. So it's like when you're walking and it's just not moving smoothly. So everything is like like a clog, not clogging. You
Your
know?
pelvis moves apart, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
and
like
so they're like cracks and like
yeah, it just I don't
It
know how to
doesn't
explain
support the
it.
weight,
There's no
and
support.
if you were to put the torso on top of the legs and the
Yeah.
pelvis is holding everything together, it like moves apart
The
and then
pressure
grinds
just,
together like
yeah.
when. So I was obviously seeing her in this pain, which was quite distressing, and I will put my hand up and say I step the fuck up, as you should if you're a male and
Mm.
your partner's pregnant, because man, you just got to do whatever you can. But to see her in that much pain was really concerning for me. And when I found out like really what her pelvis was doing, grinding and gnawing together, then pulling apart and doing it, I was like, oh my God, of course, man. Like, no wonder she's in so much pain. Plus, she's been spewing her ring out for 24 weeks straight. Like, everything about Melissa's pregnancy was not nice, but she still was in high spirits about it all.
Yeah.
She still, you know, went out and had fun with friends and things, not drinking, obviously. You know,
Mocktails,
actually,
mocktails, and mocktails.
at our gender reveal, we partied, like partied
Oh my
all night
God.
long, a
Yeah.
bunch of us, and she stayed up
Stayed
all
up.
night, handing
I
out
had
drinks
like,
to everybody.
I had mad FOMO. I was
Yeah,
like, these fuckers are at my house.
yeah.
I am not going to bed, eh? I stayed up for 24
Yeah,
hours.
man, it was a big one. It was a huge night. And I think we had what, like 70, 80 odd people here. And then by like, I don't know, 1 o'clock, there was maybe like 15 of us left.
And then by like
Um,
6 a.m., there was like 6 of us left.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And but anyway, she stuck through it. And that story is not to gloat about partying. That story is to talk about Melitza and her dedication and how able she was to keep a straight
Mm.
face throughout all that pain and nausea. And there was, you know, lots of other shit that was going on for
Yeah,
her
so
as
that was
well.
early still. So 26 weeks is still pretty early. What is
Mm.
that? 5 months?
I don't know.
I can't count, guys. Like, it's just fucked. Why do we count it in weeks? It's very annoying. Um, but that was all really painful. It was really hard to deal with. At the same time is when the vaccination stuff really rammed in.
Mm,
And I was now 5 months pregnant, 6 months pregnant. And my job was like, you get vaccinated or we're firing you.
mm,
And I was like, oh, fuck. So, like, on top of being pregnant and stressed and feeling like shit and
Mm.
vomiting, and now I'm like, oh, shit, I'm going to lose my job.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, well, I'm pregnant and I'm a finance broker by trade, I would say. And I went, well, fuck it. I'm opening my own business. So 5 months pregnant, feeling
one door
like shit.
shuts,
One door
others open.
shuts, another one opens. I started working for myself, and it was like a blessing in disguise. But fuck you, Big Corp,
Yeah.
for
And
doing that to me.
by the way, many people are suing at the moment. So if you were affected by that, you can go ahead.
Don't say that.
I will. I don't care.
Oh, we're gonna get sued. And I was working at a bank then, so it was a bank, big bank. So fuck them. And then what happened then? I was still going downhill. I think my pregnancy was just going downhill, and everyone was like, "How is being pregnant? It's so beautiful." And I was like, "I fucking hate it." And everyone was like, "What?
Mm.
How much grief did we get?" I got heaps of people being shocked. Like, what do you mean you hate it? And I'm like, what do you mean you love it? The fuck do you love about it? The only thing I liked about it was the fact that I was growing a human being and I was going to love this child to death.
Yeah, yeah. And like it was really hard to hear as a partner as well that she was hating the pregnancy, and I was pretty torn with that expression. I don't take well to the word hate either, in
No.
general. I like things to stay pretty positive, and Melissa's pretty straight to the point. We're quite polarizingly different in that way, but we find a happy medium. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I think she's just not liking the experience, like, and she's in a lot of pain, and all of these make sense. Like, there's only so much you can kind of be, you know, there's only so much you can disregard
Yeah.
and keep a positive face about. And she was never saying that she was unhappy about being pregnant, as in like,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
want
no,
this
no.
child. She was never saying those things.
No.
But sometimes those, when you're saying I hate being pregnant, it can be perceived that way.
Yeah.
And it was really because no one understood even what SPD was.
Yeah, I think
Or
our
how
friend
much-
Emily, she was pregnant at the same time. Emily that worked in the creche with me, she ended up getting SPD when she was pregnant. She was like, holy shit. And I was like,
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So like people really don't get what it feels like until they get it, because you can't explain, because everyone's like, oh yeah, it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, no. I'm not uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I'm
I
in
cannot walk.
yeah, like I'm in severe
Yeah,
pain, guys.
yeah.
Not uncomfortability because I can be uncomfortable. I'm all good with that. I train hard. I know how
Mm.
to be uncomfortable. No, no, no. I was in pain, and so it really pissed me off that
There was
people would.
days like she wouldn't get up, like
Yeah.
she couldn't get up. But even on some days that she felt like that, she would still grind through and get up,
Mm.
literally grind through.
Yeah, I
So,
was like, no, I have to walk or do something. And then
mm,
obviously I dwindled down with work, like going to the gym. I didn't obviously train by then. I
mm,
was just doing a lot of mobility. So I'd go in and just like do lots of band stretching and mat work to
mm.
try and like help my pelvis and help my back and just try and, heal myself. But I think when it comes to being pregnant and being uncomfortable, I really urge you to speak your truth, I will
Mm.
say, and don't feel like you have to tell people you're loving it all the time because it's not all rainbows and fairies and dust.
I think there's more positivity in honesty than there is faking
Yeah.
positivity.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think that everyone's like, "Oh no, I loved it." And then when you actually start talking to them like, "Oh yeah, that was horrible and that was horrible, but I never told anyone." It's like, "Well, why not? Why are you lying? Like, why are you not opening up and saying, yeah, it sucks?" And I'll tell you why not. Because people are judgy as fuck.
Mm.
Like, judgy. Number one advice, don't judge a pregnant woman.
Don't judge anybody. You don't have the
Yeah,
right.
very true. It's really difficult, especially when you're really suffering. And then, you know, I never, though, hope that anyone would suffer through the pregnancy like I did. Like, I never want anyone to have a shit pregnancy like I did.
Mm, mm.
And, some people genuinely did enjoy being
Yeah,
pregnant and good on them. I'm so happy for them.
yeah,
But I did not. And I was allowed to say that I did not. And I think that if you don't enjoy it, just say it and
yeah.
be honest, and you'll feel okay with that
And I
as
think
soon
that
as you do.
I think that rings true for a lot of things at the
Yeah.
moment. I know this is going to go off topic a little bit, but these days there's so much, like, oh, I've got to stay completely and openly positive. I've
Mm.
only got to portray this like this open, positive narrative, and there's no room for feelings, and there's no room for this, and there's no room for that, and that is toxic positivity,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And there needs to be an understanding and room for emotion. There needs to be you need to be able to control your mind and not allow yourself to spiral out of control. But if you're going to fake your positivity to the point where, you become this fake person, your actions don't even align with it, then it doesn't protrude true, and it doesn't empower you. If you're honest about how you're feeling and then you talk positively about how you're dealing with those things, that's impactful.
Yeah.
That helps
No
people.
more fake it till you make
Yeah.
it. Because,
Yeah.
like, I could not fake it till I made it to the end of that pregnancy. I could not hide it off my face that I
Yeah.
was suffering.
Yeah.
And then things just kept getting worse.
Mm.
Oh my God. But how
No, she didn't attract it to come worse. That's just life, man.
yeah, it was just, yeah, definitely hard. But I
Mm.
mean, Eli was really good through the time. I think advice for partners having to deal with their wives or girlfriends or whatever having a hard pregnancy, what would you say, babe? How did it feel? What did you feel like you needed to do? What did you feel like,
Well, I think first and foremost, like, you can't naturally put yourself in their position,
Mm,
but you got to think about, if I was extremely sick, or if I was, bedridden, what would I need? What would I want? I had to try and put myself in her shoes as much as possible. So, cooking dinner became an everyday thing,
yeah.
um, and I love cooking, but, and you got to remember at this time I was in charge of about 60 different people, so I had a lot of different things going on. But my first and foremost, and it always has been this way, my values stand with my family comes first. So if she ever needed me, I'll drop everything. I'll come home. If
Mm.
I knew that she needed ice packs at certain times. I knew that she needed heat packs at certain times. I knew that she needed, certain foods, certain massages, massage their feet. I
Every
asked
single night.
questions. Ask questions, man. Like, don't just think that, you got to ask the right questions. You've got to just make sure that you're serving her, and making her feel supported. That's the main thing. If you're sitting back and being the lazy person that you were pre-conception, or, if this whole, like, masculinity thing comes through, and you're like, oh, my girlfriend's pregnant, yeah, I'm about to be a father, yay, celebrate me, rah, rah, rah. Like there is a lot of that happens, or like I'm still going to work every day, so I'm going to come home and, relax regardless of my partner's pregnancy. All of that, man, it needs
Mm.
to be gone.
Yeah.
You need to die to self and serve your wife during that time, because it's only going to come back tenfold when your child is born. I think that you're rewarded by actually giving. It's reciprocation as well. And
Yeah.
I believe, there was tough times. There was times where I wasn't enough,
Mm.
or that, I got tired and then maybe we'd clash with things, but that was just it. I
Yeah.
think the intent there was to always be helpful. And also, I think the main thing, or one of the biggest things, is that I knew it was my child in there. So I had to nurture my wife to ensure that
Yeah.
my child was nurtured, like she's my little
I'm
incubator.
there like growing fingernails and shit.
Fingernails and shit, yeah.
Fingernails, the whole, like, we literally grow a child in us. It's
It's
actually,
so weird.
oh my
It's so
God,
weird, eh?
guys.
It's
Like,
so weird.
I was following along with the app, like, where the baby's at, what size food the
What's
baby
the app,
is.
babe?
Flow.
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 If you're about to, if you're
Yeah.
looking to, you know, make a child, or if you're pregnant and you haven't
Yeah,
got
Flow was
Flow,
great.
both the male and the female should download, because it's so cool. And
It
you see
was
the
so
different
much
chapters,
fun.
and then it goes beyond pregnancy as well, and you see kind of what different chapters and
Yeah.
leaps they're about to go through
Yeah,
in
it's
the
pretty
mind and things.
cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Flow.
During my pregnancy, our pregnancy, I just said our pregnancy. Get
Right, you
the
did.
fuck out. During being pregnant, Alex lived with us.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Do you realize that Alex has been brought up on all three of our podcasts so far?
Yeah, because we love Alex.
We should probably do a podcast with it.
Yeah, I know, right? He was probably the best housemate we could have had while I was pregnant, though. He knew how uncomfortable I was and how like sick and stuff I was. So every day he was coming home from work, because he's a PT, so he was back and forth. He wasn't out of the house all day long, all night. Like Eli was out of the house from morning till arvo.
Yeah.
But Alex would come back and forth. Every single time Alex was coming home, he would call me and say, "Hey, Litz, I'm on my way home. Do you need anything?" And I'm like, I can maybe count twice that he didn't ask if I needed something, or if, you know,
But that's just Alex in
that's just
general. Like
Alex in
he's such a
general.
good dude. He does that for
But
everybody. People who are close to him, not close to him. He does so much for
yeah,
so many other people. And
I honestly,
yeah,
but I was
he's a
really
legend.
lucky because I not only did I have Eli, but I actually had Alex fucking checking in on me every day too, because he was every time he had to come home, he had to tell me as well so I could put pants on. Because I was like, look, guys, like I can't even wear clothes anymore. Like, tell me when you're coming home so I can be in normal clothes. And that was just the rule of the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did that every day. And obviously I had, awesome close friends like Skylar. Oh, she helped me so much. He would make me go for walks and
Now
like,
Skylar's had their
and
own.
now
Skylar
Skylar.
and Connor. Yeah.
And she would literally have to like, and I'm not a touchy person, guys. Remember this. I would have to lean on Skylar because I could no longer walk, and I wanted to still keep getting active, so I would go on walks with her, and I would hook arms with her, and she was like, "Holy motherfucking shit!" And she had to like record me doing it because I never do this, and I needed. That's how much pain and discomfort I was in.
Family was great. We
Yeah.
had, you had Haley, you had many other people actually.
My whole family.
My workmates, like shout out to Tegan, who was a mom. Shaz, man, Sharon
Yeah.
stepped up massively. Like
We had
had
so
a lot of
much.
support and a lot of love around us.
If we miss anyone, like everyone knows, you
Yeah.
all know, like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And every
Yeah.
time I walked in that gym, everyone was like, "You're here still?
Mm.
Where's the baby?" Oh, I think this is a good time to touch on, how did you feel, babe, when everyone's like, "Is the baby here yet?" Every
Oh,
day?
yeah.
When it came towards the end, oh my God.
dude. Yeah, and this is I'm not the only one who's ever felt like this. I've
Yeah.
spoken to many people about this. It's fun at the start. So there's this like period of like before the due date and after the due date.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just the position and the role that I was in as a manager at Fitness Cartel and the amount of people that would come past me every day, but every minute, I don't know, like let's say every 10 minutes, someone different would say to me, "Oh, is the baby here yet? And I'd have to have this repeat conversation. And like, I'm a patient person. I like to think I'm a patient person.
And no one means it
And
badly
no one means it badly,
either.
but there's
Oh.
certain things, like, I'm waiting for my child to come, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, I actually had to start to say to people, like, man, honestly, like, if I hear that one more time, I think I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, it's,
So
no,
funny.
my baby is not here.
And
Would I be here if my baby was here? Like,
yeah, it'd just be at work.
yeah, and I've had this conversation with a few other people, and like I said, like it is just something that does get,
It's
for
so
some reason, really
funny.
irritable because you're already like in this impatient state.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know, man, it just got on my nerves, and it, like I said, I think I'm pretty patient. Don't
I
remind,
think on the
and like, this goes to everyone out there right now who's watching, and if you know us personally, next time we have a kid, when it comes to those week
I'm not
periods,
telling anyone the due date.
no, man. Yeah, I don't want to be asked that shit.
It's funny because yeah, people mean well, but like it
Yeah,
gets a lot. And I think,
yeah.
but on
Totally.
the flip side, while being pregnant, oh my God, aren't you pregnant? You can't do that. Aren't you pregnant? Should you be eating that? But you're pregnant. You can't eat that. I did everything I fucking wanted to do.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much. To obviously, guys, obviously within
No,
limits.
yeah.
Like I wasn't drinking or anything like that. I actually did not have one drop of alcohol.
Yeah.
And I mean like not a drop.
Not
Not
even
a
the odd red wine,
nothing. Not even a sip of anything.
Yeah.
Not one drop. And
Mhm.
to me that was actually fine. I was like loving that. It was all good.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any red wine, any nothing. No judgment to anyone, whatever, you do you. But I was like, nah, not drinking. It's fucked. Not doing it.
Mm.
So I didn't. But I did eat ham out of the deli. I ate feta cheese. I ate yogurts. I ate fucking sushi.
What were the things that anything that could like grow bacteria quickly that
Yeah.
you kind of say not to, right?
Yeah. I didn't eat soft serves because you weren't allowed to eat that. But I was like, that's fine. That's helping me right now. So don't put on more weight. But yeah, I just ate like I when I did eat sushi though, I asked for fresh sushi and no
Fresh
mayo,
sushi.
fresh sushi, no mayo, and I asked. I was only chicken. I didn't eat like raw fish or anything
You don't
like that.
like mayo anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But
She
like,
doesn't like mayo.
but when I
Move
was
on.
pregnant and like ordering foods, I'd be like, I'm pregnant. I can't have this. I'd also use it to my advantage because I was like, sorry, I need fresh sushi because I'm pregnant.
Even though
And
she
then-
didn't like that ingredient anyway. And
Yeah.
She still does it. She doesn't
Um,
say she's pregnant,
but yeah, I honestly, there's so many rules that they put on you, and they're like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't. What you feel comfortable with, usually you're okay with.
And going back to the fact that we had a really close midwife who we
Weekly.
were open about, like, we
Everything.
spoke openly about everything, and she was like, oh yeah, it's fine, you know. So each to their own, I think.
Yeah.
And if you're not pregnant, don't be that person, because again, don't judge people on what they're doing.
And you have no idea.
You could maybe ask and be like, oh, that's interesting. I heard this and that about this.
the way you structure the question.
Yeah, it's got to do with how you structure the question, I think. And I think there is a lot more enlightenment going on. People are starting to become a bit more conscious about how they're asking questions, how they're having conversations. But yeah, it's very easy to
Yeah.
piss somebody off when they've got the intent to do well and you're questioning that without knowing.
Yeah, 100%. Even though, like, when I was training, like, you're not allowed to lift weights. You're pregnant. I was like, excuse me? I was lifting weights before I was pregnant. I can lift weights while I'm pregnant. And obviously, like I said, I slowed down because I
Yeah, you
got
took the
certain
time with
things.
Yeah.
I ended up getting, SPD, and I also got carpal tunnel in both fucking hands. So by the time towards the end of my pregnancy, I had stopped training properly and was just doing mobility stuff because I just couldn't. But there is people that can train to end of term because their bodies are holding up fine. I unfortunately had shitty pregnancy.
Yeah.
So, don't tell people what they can and can't do while they're pregnant. Within, obviously, like, we're not talking about like someone going out there smoking crack. Like you see someone smoking crack while pregnant, say something, okay? But no, like eating whatever they're eating or whatever like that. Don't talk shit because it's fucking annoying
Yeah.
and it's really, really not nice.
Just have a think about the way
Yeah.
you ask a question. Sweet. I think the point.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're getting closer to birth time, and things escalated even more for Melissa and I. Melissa.
Just towards the end of being pregnant, so the last month, I would say,
Mm.
I by this point had now gained like almost 30 kilos. So fucking wild amount of weight. I was really puffy. My circulation was fucked. Like I could leave massive dents in my feet.
Yeah,
My
that's right.
shoes were
They're
three
like this.
sizes. Yeah. My shoes were three sizes bigger,
Mm.
like proper swollen. And I kept
Blood
on
flow
getting
was not
tested.
good.
Yeah.
Mm.
I kept on getting tested for preeclampsia over and over and over again. My blood pressure was fine. But what we didn't account for is that all my symptoms were hitting at nighttime. And it was no one's fault because obviously everything's only open during the day. So all my testing was done during the day. Towards the end, I think the week up to my due date, we've got everything set up, the room set up. Like I'm keen for this home birth.
birth.
I'm so ready for this and I'm so excited. I get told I have to go to the hospital because I had a few symptoms like headaches, dizziness,
Blood pressure.
well, that's the symptoms from that. And I called my midwife and I said, this is how I'm feeling. And she's like, you know what? Go to the hospital. And by this time, it was nighttime.
And remember how holistic this lady is. For her to say,
Go to the hospital
was a big deal.
Yeah. She's like, go to the hospital and get them to check everything. So I did. And they were like, your blood pressure is fucking through the roof. And I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, yeah, that's not good. And I was like, okay. And so I called my midwife and she's like, oh no, like it sounds like you probably have preeclampsia. And mind you, this is like literally 5 days before my due date. So like I'm so ready
So
to
just
have...
so everybody knows, babe, explain what preeclampsia is.
Yeah, so I was getting to that. Preeclampsia is when you're pregnant, your blood pressure is super high, which can cause stress on the placenta. So what the baby
The baby needs the blood to
yeah. So because my blood
pulse through
pressure
the placenta.
is too high, the blood's not getting flowed properly, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into too technical terms in case I like say something wrong and someone's like, that's not right. Because like, you know, it doesn't matter. But preeclampsia is what I had. So at this point, I've been vomiting my whole pregnancy and then it stopped and then I got sick still. And then I've got SPD. I've got carpal tunnel in both hands. Now I have fucking preeclampsia. Like, could it get worse in the hospital?
Go back to the carpal tunnel though. So the carpal tunnel happened kind of as a byproduct of the preeclampsia, right?
No, I had carpal tunnel always, right? But it was like a small carpal tunnel. But when I was pregnant, because of the inflammation of my everything, bam, my carpal tunnel just went nuts. And so I was like literally living in two of those wrist guards, like like a
roller skater.
robot. Like it was real bad. I'll just tell you how bad. To the point that at nighttime, I would wake up and cry because I could not recover myself. Like I couldn't get the sheet and cover myself. One, because I couldn't move because of my SPD. I got stuck on my side. Two, my fingers wouldn't move, so I couldn't get the sheets to cover me. I would literally be crying and I'd have to wake Eli up to cover me because it was winter. So that's how painful and bad it was. Like it's not even that I just had a bit of everything. It was really horrible. So when someone's like, oh, why'd you hate it? That's why. Like I was awfully in pain all the time.
If there was a checkbox of how bad you could have a pregnancy, you should probably tick to 2/3 of that.
Literally. So when I was in the hospital and they said I had preeclampsia, they're like, yep, so we want to induce you tomorrow. And I was like, haha, what?
We're having a home birth. What?
I was like, no, I'm having a home birth. And they're like, I think you might want to talk to your midwife.
Yeah.
And so we called my midwife and her rule is preeclampsia, no home birth.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything worse that I could have heard at that point. At that point of time, I was like, whoa, it just shows as well. Like I had this plan and we understand that birth plans don't always go to plan. But I didn't think that my entire birth would be switched on its head. All the money we've also spent on this private midwife, non-refundable, guys, to have this home birth. And then the hospital would be like, yeah, no, you have preeclampsia. There's no chance. And then my midwife said, no, can't have a home birth. I actually made the hospital discharge me.
Yeah, like we want to go home
I
first.
was like, I want to go home and talk about my options with my midwife. I'm not being induced tomorrow. And they're like, look, we really don't recommend it. Your blood pressure is really high. How about we give you the medication? And if it goes down, we'll let you go home. And I was like, all right. It went down, guys. So my blood pressure went down. I went home and then I got sick again that afternoon and I had to go back into the hospital. And by this point, my midwife's like, yeah, so most likely they're going to want to induce you. It is really up to you. But because your due date's in like 3 days, she wasn't actually against it.
Mm.
She was like, we can try make it most comfortable for you. My doula was going to come in with us. And, you know, they tried. They really did try to make the induction as best as possible. But I cried probably all that night. And then the day before my induction, I
You got to
asked.
remember like how much like heart and soul went into
Yeah.
the build up to have a home birth, and it's not a light decision.
No.
Like again, going back to so many people asking questions about home birth, the amount of judgment we had for thinking of having a home birth in general, like it wasn't an
Yeah.
easy decision. And all the emotions around could I be in the room, like was I allowed at scans, like all these kind of things. And yeah, money was like the last thing, but it was expensive as fuck as well.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just a bit heart-wrenching because that plan was not just a plan. It was like really well
The
prepared,
entire pregnancy,
really well
every week.
formatted, so much emotion
Yeah.
put into it. And yeah, every week meetings, like, you know, we were really well looked after, and for it to all just be kind of taken off us by some
Yeah.
doctors in a mask, it was pretty upsetting.
Yeah. I think, look, I will say they were pretty respectful.
They were very respectful.
They really tried, but
Yeah.
he was like, your due date's in 3 days. Your blood pressure's through the roof. I can't believe we haven't picked up on this. And they reckon because it was at nighttime that my blood pressure was spiking. So the proteins and all that, by the time they were doing the testing, it just wasn't showing. But at this point, because my due date was coming so close and Katya was obviously taking up a lot more energy in my stomach and grown to where she was, it was quite noticeable. And so it was getting higher, higher and higher. And so they said, you're definitely getting induced. I begged them to let me go home. They did let me go home purely because we live 10 minutes away from school. And they were comfortable with the fact that I had a private midwife and I was, you know, quite looked after, and I had Eli and everyone. I had a lot of support. So they let me go home and come back tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to be induced. I was so gutted. Yeah, it kind of feels like all my options were ripped away from me, and everything that I wanted to do was no longer allowed to be done. So we got home and I was like, babe, we're bringing this fucking baby on. I was like, I feel like shit. I look like shit. Get it on. I was like, get it on. We're getting this baby out. If you guys...
Like, get it on? She meant get it in.
Yes, because they say that sex can make the baby come. So I was like, I'm not being induced. Bring the baby on now. And it didn't work, sadly. But I remember being in that space the 24 hours leading up to my induction. And my friend Milica from, I guess, same name as me, had a kid a year before me. She sent me a parcel and it arrived the day I found out I was being induced.
Is that the one in her husband's name is Eli as well?
No.
Ah, never mind.
No.
Sorry.
She sent me a parcel and it was like all these cute little things for Katya when she was born, and I was just like, oh, this couldn't have come at a better time. And I just felt really loved and supported by everyone. And then I was talking to my friends about it because, you know, just before being induced, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe this is happening. Told my family, Eli's family, we're now having to make a plan on what the fuck's going to go on that day in the hospital. And obviously COVID restrictions still in place. So now we're having to decide what's going on. Very lucky our doula managed to be able to get into the hospital with us. And
yeah, so we had to decide between me and our midwife.
Yes, so it was...
Me.
I obviously chose Eli and my doula. The reason I did that is because there was gonna be midwives there already, but there wasn't any doulas, and I needed someone that was gonna be able to support me and Eli, and her role was to support us both because
to get things for us, to make things comfortable, to help with Yeah, little things like the lighting and stuff. Like we bought, we bought. Do you remember that big packet of lollies we bought? And you thought you would eat them, but we
Everything.
just give them
I
out to the
filled up. There's
nurses.
this massive thing that
That's
said
right.
"Yum" with
Yeah.
lollies, and we thought I would draw, and it would be all this beautiful stuff. It
These are
wasn't
all the things we had planned for the
a
home
home
birth, like
birth.
these amazing ointment oils that were meant to relax the body and
Yeah.
numb some areas and things like that. So we brought all that, like nice lighting. We had all these like fairy lights that we're gonna put
Yeah.
up, like the whole room was meant to look beautiful. We brought that all and we kind of half set some of it up, and then next
Yeah.
thing we're fully in the
Because
trenches.
I think we were unaware of how intense induction can be.
Yeah.
So they induced me at like 8 because we were late. They called me and they're like, "Are you coming to the hospital? You're due for your induction." Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on my way." Was not on my way. I was at home.
I think we got there at 9:30.
8 because I got induced at 8:30. I was meant to be there at 6, 7.
I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, but we were very late to my own induction. I was like, you know what? I'm pregnant. Don't give me a time limit on my own induction. That's not happening. So we got there late, got induced, and it literally went from little cramps to, oh my God, I want to
Mind you,
die.
and this is the thing this is what they say, and this is what we've heard about many, many inductions. It's like, yeah, we'll induce you, and it will just like play out nice and smooth, kind of just like a normal one. You'll be no. It went. I saw my poor partner. She actually before they induced, I'm sure you were having no. They induced you, and then you had a few contractions.
Small
and
contractions. I
things.
was like, all right.
And you're like, I can deal with this, and I was like, okay, I can help her out, and then bang, they were coming
Bang.
in hot and heavy so quickly, so no time for the body to adjust.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
So
to watch your partner
usually
go
in
through.
labor, I don't know if people know, but in a normal natural labor, when you're not induced, your contractions build to more intense and closer together, right? Over time. There was no time. It was like 2 hours, and then bam, next minute I'm like, I want to give birth to this baby.
No, it wasn't even 2 hours, man.
Was it? I don't remember exactly. They say you forget, but I don't forget everything. Trust me, I do not forget the traumatic induction that I received. But it wasn't their fault. My body had taken over. I had preeclampsia, so my heart rate was already my blood pressure was so high that like the body just pushes and pushes. And once you start intervening, like an induction, you're fucked. It just went from there, especially in that state. Because I've spoken to people that had inductions that weren't that bad. Right? That yes, it was really quick labor and really hectic, but not as bad as what I had gone through. It's because everybody's body is different. But look, I wasn't allowed in the water. I wasn't allowed in the shower anymore. I wasn't allowed any of those reliefs. So, we got to halfway and I took the fucking epidural because I was like, I feel like I'm going to die. And no one tells you that you vomit during pregnancy,
Babe, do you remember
during labor, sorry.
You remember the funny thing that happened with the epidural?
No?
No? You don't?
No?
The scariest moment? Well,
No.
not the scariest moment, the funniest moment.
Nah.
So, epidural is like pretty cool procedure as it is.
Oh, yeah, you
and
got to watch it.
Yeah. And so, like, it's so finicky. Like, he has to be so on point in getting this needle through to the spine.
I don't
And
remember.
so that was really cool to watch, and I was obviously very nervous, but he's just having a good time.
He
laughing
was
about
pretty
it.
funny.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah. So they've numbed her up to the chest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've numbed her up to the chest, right? And they put the little button down beside her, and then she's going to lean back after they've done it. You know what she does? She leans on the button,
Oh, my God.
and it induces a whole nother level.
Yeah, so the nurse goes, did you just... And I was like, oh, my fucking God. I just pressed the button. And she's like, we just checked and you're already numb to your chest.
Yeah.
Like, I was numb to, like, above my boobs. Like,
Yeah.
I was numb already. Like, well
This
numb.
nurse, she was so calm,
She was like, we're
she's
just
like,
gonna...
you just might just watch that a little bit.
Yeah,
And
she's like, we'll just sit you
she
up.
trots off and she talks to the doctor and she's like, she said it like I could see her. She just hit the button.
It was so
Are
funny.
we gonna be okay?
Like, obviously, I was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because they give you the button in case you're not numb like enough, but I was numb enough. And so she sat me up and she's like, just let me know if you can't feel your throat, like breathing in your throat, because it kept going up. It got to like my collarbone, eh? And I was like, oh my God. But luckily it didn't get worse. But what a fucking idiot. I full on like just gave myself extra epi. But all in all, like the staff were great and stuff. And
They're
I'm not
really
going to
good.
go into
They're really
like
good.
full on details of giving birth. But I think the biggest thing that I can say when you're, having to change your plan for giving birth is you really have to sit with it for a bit. Don't let them pressure you into doing something straight away. Make sure
Yeah.
you sit with it and make the decision that's like right for you and that you're okay with moving forward, because if you don't kind of come to terms with that, you're going to regret it for a long time. And I still feel like shitty about the fact that I didn't get my home birth. I planned so long and it sucked, but I got beautiful Katya and Anne, and we got beautiful. We can say we now because we have Katya now. We're not pregnant anymore.
No.
And it was great. Look, she came out healthy and absolutely perfectly baked.
Yeah.
But don't forget to advocate for yourself in the hospital and make sure you have a partner who knows what you want as well, because when you're in labor and
Communicate.
all of this shit's going on, you sometimes don't have words and you can't advocate for yourself because it's just so many things going on that you can't be like, hey, no, I don't want that. And know that you can say no to things.
Yeah.
You're in the hospital because you're there to give birth. It doesn't mean that your rights are taken away from you.
For instance, C-section. Like, it's very, and again, I'm kind of, I don't know, generalizing here,
Yeah.
but these days,
So common.
so the hospital runs on a timeline, right?
That too.
They want
Yep.
to pump these births out. The easiest way to do that is pump out a C-section. So that is thrown around like crazy these days for the littlest things. But yeah, so C-sections can be thrown around. So, make sure that you're communicating with your midwife and telling them, what you want,
Yeah.
and make sure that they understand what you're after.
Yeah.
And that they can communicate to the doctors that, no, I don't want this C-section. I want to continue to go forward, because quite often it's thrown out there as like the only option, and it's not.
Yeah, I think having a private midwife
Yeah.
and actually getting educated, just make sure you educate yourself. That's all I can say. And I think that we won't delve into that too much in regards to like, I don't want anyone to feel like it's a judgment that they're going to in C-section, because it's definitely not. I'm actually considering that next time.
Yeah. Like, each their own, for sure.
They say it's an emergency a lot of the times that it's not.
Yeah.
And that is what's really, really sad, because I have read so many statistics and articles, and I educated myself during the preparation for the home birth about C-sections, and it's happening way too often because of the fact that they're saying that everything is an emergency. And a lot of the time it gets to that because as soon as they start intervening, bam, things go sideways because the baby and the mother's body knows what to do. We've been giving birth, guys, for fuck how long?
Even down to like the position, we won't go too far, but like, even down to the position that you give birth in these days, like laying on your back is not the natural position that we're meant to be giving birth. It's easier for male doctors back in the 50s.
Yeah,
Is that
they
what
were like,
that
we'll
was?
put them on their back so we can see more.
So we can see. So it was actually a male decision to put women on their backs
to give birth.
Yeah, to give birth, and that has just stayed in our society.
You're
It's
working,
actually, it's actually way worse for you. It puts the baby in way more stress, which gives them more right to say, hey, we need to do a C-section. There's all these different things that we found out because we decided to have a holistic look into things. So, there's just these things to be aware of, and
just
do your own study with everything.
Look at everything, all the factors. If you still want to do it, like, not a problem. I'm glad in the end that we were in the hospital.
Yeah,
because it was just so terrifying. And I'm like,
amazing. I'm not generalizing and say that like, doctors are bad, but these are things to be aware of. But yeah, we had an amazing crew, an amazing team, and one of the most beautiful things was, and man, it actually kind of makes me quite emotional, is that there was this young girl. So SCU is a university hospital. We had this beautiful suite, and there was this girl in the hall. So I think we had a team of about 5, including one doctor. But there was this beautiful young girl she was just about to finish her shift, and she had to be able to qualify.
30 pregnant, 30 natural births.
Yeah, 30 natural births, but she had one
Yeah.
more to go, to be able to tick it off and say, hey, I've been able to do that. And she was that far from being born, Katya.
She was literally like, I was about to start pushing.
She was in the hallway, and one of them asked us and said, hey, this girl, blah, blah, blah. And she did it. So there was 2 celebrations when Katya was born. Obviously, Katya was born, which was the main one. But this girl, she burst into tears because she had pretty much graduated.
She had been waiting for ages too. It had been weeks that she was waiting for this type of birth.
Yeah, so, all the nurses celebrated with her, and we celebrated Katya being born.
It was so special.
Katya didn't breathe for like 3 minutes. Though. That was scary as fuck.
Guys.
Yeah.
Nothing prepares you when that baby comes out and it's not breathing. Because, in the movies, like you watch it, they come out, they're screaming. That doesn't happen. Luckily, my midwife, she did say, no, it doesn't. Like, they don't always scream straight away.
Yeah.
But my midwife said to us, okay, when the baby comes out, be aware that sometimes they will not breathe or make a sound, and sometimes it can take a minute. That 3 minutes, though, that felt like an absolute lifetime because she, like, proper wasn't breathing. And then one of the other nurses ran in and, like, what did she do? She, like, grabbed her?
It was a head nurse. So they were being real gentle with her and, like...
trying to get me to blow on her.
But then you could start to see them panicking because it had been that long. And something to do with the cord was, I don't know, blocked or something like that. I don't know, but... Basically, she just was not waking up, and I started to feel the energy change in the room. I was like, this isn't good. And then this lady, and she was just this butch nurse. She was a legend, and she just came in and she took over.
Oh my God.
She took Katya, and she was not gentle. She's like,
kaboom! I feel like she
she shook
her, and bam, Katya started crying, went all pink, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, thank God, because I was rubbing her and like blowing on her because that's what they get you to do because the mother can, trigger those instincts for the baby, to cry and things like that. But it obviously wasn't working. That was so awesome.
Yeah.
Because I have this all on recording, so I haven't watched back my recording of my labor. Do you remember?
It's imprinted in my mind.
Do you remember? Our doula's recording, and I'm like halfway through pushing this child out, guys. Like I'm literally, because it only took me 45 minutes to push her out. She's recording me, and my phone starts ringing.
That's
Do
right.
you remember?
Yeah, it was Darko, her brother-in-law.
My mom rings my phone, and she's recording with my phone, and she's like, Darko is calling. And we literally all piss ourselves laughing. Like,
can you imagine if she pressed the wrong button and it went to fake?
Oh my God. Like, honestly, it was actually so funny. It's probably the highlight of our birth right there, apart from Katya being born. But that was hilarious. That was a good time. But overall, like, I think I can say, like, just be educated, know your rights, know what you want, and understand things so that you can, and make sure your partner does is more actually important than you because they are the one who will be more conscious than you because you are going to be in such a big, different energetic level, different everything. Like it's so different, but it's also incredible. But like I said, unpopular opinion, it's kind of gross. I felt really gross after.
Yeah.
You had to shower me, remember?
Yeah. I thought the whole thing, like...
How did you feel? How was it all? Like, when you were watching it all?
It was beautiful. Honestly, I thought I was going to be grossed out and shit. But it's just such a crazy experience. And obviously, like, you've already seen your partner's pits and all that kind of stuff. So that's, like... That's taken away, but also, like, it's not, I don't know, you can't prepare yourself for that moment. You can't think and be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to feel this way, or, I'm going to be grossed out. Or, like, you're not, like, you have to be present, and your full presence comes to that. All time stops for you as the male, I believe. Well, that's what happened for me.
I wish we could, like...
Yeah, and, like, just to see your kid come out is incredible, and like to hear their first breath and to watch your partner hold her for the first time, or him, or and to change that first nappy and to have your first hold, and to see your mum hold your daughter, because my mum was there.
After I gave
After she
birth.
was able to do it, and yeah, after
After.
she, yeah, because we were only allowed two of us in there.
Yeah.
So all of these little things, like, it was just such a present moment and
Mm.
an amazing, incredible feeling. Um, and I've touched on this before, but you will never know the love that you are able to have until you have a child.
Yeah.
And you can think and guess what that might feel like. You can have as many discussions as you want with someone about, yeah, I think I would be able to feel that. You'll never
Yeah.
feel that until you have a
Oh.
child. Yeah, so, and it might even be the same for adoption, maybe. It might come close, but I believe it was the most intense, pure feeling of love that I've ever felt, and it still is to this day.
I'll never forget when she come out and like actually just started crying and all of
Yeah.
that, all of that.
Yeah.
That 5 minutes, you know,
Yeah.
of my life is the biggest highlight. When people say you forget, I never want to forget that.
Yeah, I don't think
I ever will, because it's just incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all, I guess, what happened and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I
And
think the main
Katya.
tips to take out is
Yeah.
probably number one, educate yourself. Make sure and that goes for everything in life as well.
Yeah.
But educate yourself. You know, as a male, do everything that you can to support your partner. You know, make the first one that we talked about, which is more our personal advice or how we think, is don't hide things in those first 12 weeks. You know, speak about them so you have the support if something does go wrong, but more so to the point, celebrate it so it does go right. Breathe life into the experience, and I think that, you know, that energetically does something amazing. What was the other?
I would say during your pregnancy, be honest about how you're feeling.
Yeah, be honest about how you're feeling. Honesty is more powerful.
Because no one can help you if they don't know what's going on. If you're just
Yeah.
pushing through and pretending like everything's okay, you're really going to suffer.
Yeah,
And
be honest.
Just be honest.
Yeah. There was also, you know, on the other side, if you're talking to someone who's pregnant, be aware of the questions you're asking. That
Yeah.
person's already in a very heightened state. That person is already dealing with a lot of things. So be careful about the way that you're asking questions about what they're doing in their pregnancy. It's a very personal thing.
Yeah.
You don't have the right to question them. And if you do have a question, it's because you want to be educated by their answer, not because you have an opinion on their life.
Yeah, very, very true. Wow, that's very aggressive. Yes.
I don't think it's aggressive. The aggressive person's telling the funny.
Stern. I like that. It's hot.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few different points, and you can scrub through back and forth through.
Yeah,
the
I hope you get something out of
Yeah.
this. I'm always open for anyone that has any questions or is having a rough time with pregnancy,
Yeah.
or, you know, because I remember opening up about my pregnancy and telling people how shit I feel. It allowed some of the other people that were pregnant, I say people, I mean women, not people, women that were pregnant. I feel like that made them a little bit more comfortable to come up to me and talk to me about how they were feeling.
Yeah, lots of parents
And
did open up.
I had
to
a
you, for
lot
sure.
of other women be like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that, because like I feel like that too, and I just haven't
Yeah.
want to." You know, I'm here always, and if you don't feel comfortable telling other people, I'm more than happy to listen. Always have an ear out. You know, yeah.
Vice versa for the dads. Like, I love talking about it. I love being a dad.
Yeah.
And I think it's the best gift you can be given. And if you're, but there comes a lot of emotion with it. You know, as a male, you're like, oh, I need to be able to provide. Remember, like, Melissa had things that were going on with her business. And so there's all sorts of different things that can happen for men. Lots of pressure. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be the head of the home, and to do everything. So, you know, if you ever want to talk and your partner is pregnant and you're just not dealing, I'm here as well. And probably vice versa. You know, if a mum wanted to talk to me about what they need to, you know,
Tell their husband, pull their shit
to
together.
husband, or if a dad wants to talk to Melissa, there's no, you know, sexism here. We're
There's
an
no
open
sexist.
book.
Actually, I'm pretty sexist.
We'll
talk about that last night. That's another topic, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for listening to our whole story about being pregnant and stuff. I
Yeah.
don't even know if we've covered everything or We'll see how it turns out.
And we're still in the ride, you know. Katya's only 18 months old now, and she's going through these different leaps. She's already started the terrible two tantrums that have
Oh
just
my
started
God,
to occur.
guys.
She's like throwing her head back, man. It's the scariest thing ever.
I'm like, you're gonna crack your head open.
She's smacked me in the jaw a few times
Yeah.
like, recently, just because, yeah. But anyway, it's pretty funny. Most of the time, she's an amazing girl, full of smiles, loves running around. She's talking now and things.
We
It's
are.
pretty cool.
We are blessed.
We are absolutely blessed. And I think it's important to also highlight that we are not just a fitness podcast. I know that we talk about that a lot because
Yeah.
it's major in our lives. Health and fitness is, you know, a huge foundation in our lives. But we're here to talk about relationship advice. We're here to talk about, you know, kids. We're here to talk about fitness. We're here to talk about opinions on all sorts of different things. We have very strong opinions on things. We quite like to educate ourselves on many different topics. So, you know, we're going to have lots to talk about. And I believe the next episode, we're actually going to try and have a special guest who went through a very tough pregnancy as well. Hopefully we get there. If we don't get that one, we're going to touch on social media and how to manipulate your algorithm to work for you, your healthy mind, and how to make sure that, you know, you're not bringing a toxic kind of vibes through your phone that you're always staring at. It's quite simple.
And
We'll
about
touch on that too.
fucked it couldn't be.
Yeah.
You'll get like the real like deep, good energy stuff from Eli and just of me spitting how shit it can be.
Yeah. We're good like that, eh?
Oh, I'm not that negative anymore.
No, you're not. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think that's it. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, hit us up.
Peace and love. We've got you from here.
Bye.